start. We start with the prayer. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhute Dhruvani Tirmatirmama Tatkarmayanna Bandhaya Savidyaya Vimuktaye Ayasaya Param Karma Vidyanya Shilpa Naipunam. Slowly open your eyes. Okay. Namaste everyone again, and wish us all a very happy celebration of this occasion of Geeta Jayanti. This Geeta Jayanti is celebrated on the Ekadashi, that is Shukla Ekadashi of this month, which is Margashirsha month. So basically in English calendar, this falls somewhere in November or December. So this year we are celebrating it today. So it's not that it is on 22nd of December every month or every year. It is not like that. It is the Shukla Ekadashi in the month of Margashirsha. That is when Geeta Jayanti is celebrated. Now, all of us know what Bhagavad Gita is. It is the song of the Bhagavan, the God. And so Gita, songs, and Bhagavat is Bhagavan, song of the God. There are various interpretations of the word Gita also, but we are not going to get into all of the interpretations today. So we all know that Bhagavad Gita is a part of the epic Mahabharat, and it falls in Bhishma Parva of this epic of Mahabharat. And it has 700 verses. Bhagavad Gita is also regarded as one of the three texts, very important texts that should be studied if one wants to understand or gain deeper understanding of the Indian wisdom. So these three texts are called Prasthana Trayi, and these Prasthana Trayi is, one is the Brahma Sutra, second is Upanishad. It's not any one Upanishad as such, but it is the Upanishad, the Vedanta Upanishad, and then Bhagavad Gita. So it is a part of Prasthana Trayi. We all also know that Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue. It's a conversation. The conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. Right? Now, I want to share my understanding, of course, of Bhagavad Gita and why Bhagavad Gita is called as Yoga Shastra. Bhagavad Gita is yoga. It is Yoga Shastra. So why is it called Yoga Shastra? I will try to share my understanding of it. If you just go over the text of Bhagavad Gita and not really try to understand the deeper philosophy or try to understand each and every word of each and every verse of Bhagavad Gita. Even if you don't want to do that, or even if you don't get into so much of detail, even then you will find that in 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita, you will find the word yoga more than 150 times in Bhagavad Gita. Now, this word yoga is used in different contexts. Sometimes the word is used as a noun. Sometimes the word is used as a verb. Sometimes it is used as an adjective. But the word yoga appears. It appears as yoga, or at times it appears as yogi, or at times it also appears as yukta. Yukta is also a form of the same dhatu, yuja, joining. Yukta is that which is connected, which is joined. Okay, so this word appears so many times in Bhagavad Gita. So if you see, almost 20% times, rather 20% of the words that have been used in Bhagavad Gita, 20% is the word yoga. Now this is big amount, this is big volume, right? Big chunk. So this is also good enough reason to say that Bhagavad Gita is a yoga shastra, even if we don't get into the meaning of it, because it uses this word so many times. Okay. Another thing, what is the advice that Lord Sri Krishna is giving Arjuna? He's telling Arjuna, Tasmat Yogi Bhava. So what is Lord Krishna telling? Hey Arjuna, you become a yogi. Tasmat means hence. Tasmat, hence. Huh? What is he telling before that? I'll try to very, very briefly, of course, share my understanding of it. But at the end, he's telling Tasmat Yogi Bhava Arjuna. So, hey Arjuna, you become a yogi for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, these reasons. And then he's telling what yoga is, who is a yogi, and what is the goal of that yoga that Lord Krishna is describing in Bhagavad Gita, and what are the ways to achieve that yoga is what is the subject matter of this text, Bhagavad Gita. Now, if you also look at the names of the adhyaya, the chapters, 18 chapters we have. Each chapter again has the word yoga in it. So the first chapter is Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, Karma Sannyasa Yoga, Atma Sanyama Yoga or Dhyana Yoga, same. Then Jnana Vijnana Yoga, Akshara Brahma Yoga, Raja Vidya, Rajaguhya Yoga, Vibhuti Yoga, Vishwarup Darshan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, Purushottama Yoga, Daivasura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga, Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga, Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. So all chapters have the name yoga in it. Right? So even if you just glance through it, you understand that this text is talking about yoga. Okay. Now, let us see what is the context and why is Lord Krishna explaining yoga to Arjuna. So what is the context? We all know the setup. the context of the entire uh, Mahabharata and the war, everything. So what has happened is the setup in which the teaching is imparted is the battlefield, right, of Kurukshetra. And the battle is being fought between Pandavas and Kauravas. And Arjuna suddenly is faced with a big problem. And it is not that he is not aware of it. The fact that he is standing in the battlefield with Lord Krishna as his Sarathi tells us that Arjuna is prepared and he's there for the war only. It's not that now the war is a surprise for him. It is not at all like that. There were so many events that have led to this uh, decision of war. So he's standing in the battlefield, but when he looks at who is standing in front of him, his relatives and his friends and family and all of that, suddenly he is saying, "Mujhse nahi hoga. I can't do this. I don't want to do this." Isn't this very familiar for all of us? There are situations that each one of us probably have experienced, we do experience, where we say, nahi, nahi, ye baba, ye mujhse nahi hoga. This is something which I can't do. I don't want to do. I don't wish to do. And that is exactly the situation of Arjuna, right? And now they say that if one has to understand the wisdom of yoga, the Gita wisdom, the Gita knowledge, if one has to understand, then one should go through some important phases in life. It is not about age, not at all. It is something else, like what Arjuna experienced. So one should basically discover the problem of being in such a difficult situation, which we can say the problem of samsara. What is the problem of samsara? What is samsara? Samsarati iti samsaraha. That which changes continuously is samsara. So one should first discover and understand the problem with changes. Everything is changing, changing, changing. Now and then. It's continuously changing. So that is the problem of samsara. So one should discover this problem of samsara. Unless, see, it's like unless you know the disease, you can't, if there is no diagnosis, there is no line of treatment. How can you decide the line of treatment? So, so you have to have a good reason to study Gita. Okay. So it is fine if you say that I just am curious about what is said in Gita. But you know, frankly, just curiosity will not help you understand the Gita wisdom. Unless and until you actually have experienced or have gone through certain phases of life. Unless and until this, unless and until you have asked this question to yourself. So one should have discovered this problem of samsara. Secondly, one should become or one should have a serious longing, strong burning desire. And the word for that desire is mumukshutva. Mumukshutva, a strong burning desire to become free of this problem of samsara. strong burning desire to become free of this problem of samsara doesn't mean running away from the problem. It doesn't mean giving up. Okay, it doesn't mean that I take sannyasa. It doesn't mean I choose not to act. It is not that. What it is, we'll come to that in some time. Okay, so you should have faced and understood the problem of samsara. Secondly, you need to have that burning desire, longing, mumukshutva to become free, freedom from samsara. And thirdly, very importantly, one should also realize that I cannot solve this problem independently on my own. The maximum up to my capacity, within my capacity, what is in my capacity, what can I do as a limited human being having some instruments that can help me. I can probably rephrase, reorganize the problem statement, but I cannot get rid of it on my own. So I need help in that. And then finally, one needs to surrender to a teacher. And see, whatever I have described, this is exactly what has happened to Arjuna. Okay? And when he's asking the question, Lord Krishna, now Krishna, please help me. What should I do? I can't fight. I can't face this situation. And I feel कि अभी मुझसे ये पाप होने वाला है. And I don't want to get into it. So please guide me, please help me. That is the point when he has completely surrendered. He has gone through all of these phases. And so Lord Krishna is now come as a guru and is helping. Unless and until you've come to that phase and you are ready to listen as a disciple from a guru, this Gita wisdom will be accessible to you, but in a limited sense. Right? So it's like a preparation for one to understand what type of yoga is told in Bhagavad Gita. Right? So that like they use the word adhikaritva. So this is like you make yourself eligible to gain that knowledge. So this is what Arjuna has gone through, and that is why he is now posing a question. Is in the same situation, and then he is asking for help. And so this adhyay, this chapter is named as Arjuna Vishada Yoga. It is Vishada. And then there is a very famous verse. Most of us, I'm sure, would have heard this verse. Sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishushati. Means now I'm trembling. My limbs are trembling. Sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishushati. I can't talk. My throat is dried up. Vepatushcha sharire me roma harshascha jayate. Gandivam sransate hastat vakchaiva paridayate. Gandiva, we know Arjuna's Gandiv. No? Gandiva sransate hastat. I'm not able to hold it in my hand. So basically, he is feeling powerless, helpless. Though he has Lord Krishna as his Sarathi, what kind of power he has, no one actually could defeat him. Still he is feeling powerless. And that powerlessness, that helplessness is coming from inside. It's coming from inside. But what is he thinking? He's thinking that because all of these are standing in front of me, I can't do this. So this is the context which we all know, right? So this is the first chapter, which is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Now, what happens in the second chapter? So Arjuna has asked this question to Lord Shri Krishna. He is completely immersed in grief, shock, and that grief is the effect of what? Why was Arjuna in grief, in Vishada, in Shoka? Why did he suffer? Why was he suffering? He was suffering because of attachment. Because he was attached to the people who were standing in front of him. They were his relatives. They were his teachers. They were his elderly people. And he had certain kind of attachment towards them. So the Sanskrit word for attachment is raga. Rag. So this shock, this grief caused by attachment, and second very important thing is delusion. There was delusion. He could not see clearly. He was not able to see clearly. Why? Again, because of the veil that he had in front of his eyes, the veil of attachment, the veil of attachment. So that was the cause of his sorrow. So what happens in the beginning of the second chapter? The name of the second chapter is Sankhya Yoga. Okay. Now, I would say this second chapter of Sankhya Yoga, in the beginning only, tells us everything. It is like the sar of Gita. Gita sar is Sankhya Yoga. From 3rd to 18th chapter, Gita describes what is already been told in Sankhya Yoga. Okay. So the name of the second chapter is Sankhya Yoga. So what is happening here? In the beginning of the second chapter, basically we see ki Lord Krishna tells something to Arjuna, and he tells that his weakness is the attachment, and that is his fundamental problem. And this fundamental problem has to be tackled. This fundamental problem cannot be solved by some superficial methods. If the problem is fundamental, तो उसको रूट से ही डील करना पड़ेगा. You cannot be superficially solve it. So that was the first thing that Lord Krishna told him. And secondly, he also told he has to surrender completely to a guru to get out of this fundamental problem. So what is he telling? He is telling from the, so his Sri Krishna is trying to give him a clear idea, clear picture. He's helping him see, he's helping Arjuna see clearly, because he has delusion. Arjuna has both attachment, raga, and delusion, moha. So Sri Krishna is telling, ki dekho, from the standpoint of the true nature of you, which is Atma. Right now, we may not understand this. Same thing happened with Arjuna also. Suddenly, if someone tells you, Are, you are Atman, and you are not this body and you are not this mind. We can't get it. But this is exactly the order of Bhagavad Gita is. So Sri Krishna is telling, you see, from the standpoint of your true nature, yourself, which is Atma. So he's giving him Adhyatmika Drushti. Adhyatmika Drushti. So if you look through that lens of Adhyatmika Drushti, all of these people, Bhishma, all the acharyas, you are scared of losing them. All of these acharyas and others are immortal only, if you look from this lens. Because Atma is never ever subject to changes in spite of the changes in body. Atma is not a doer. So nothing can happen to Atma. So basically, if you have Adhyatmika Drushti, then these people are immortal. This is what Sri Krishna tells. Secondly, he tells, okay, now, if you have Dharmika Drushti, if you look at the situation from the point or from the standpoint of dharma, not as religion, dharma as what you are supposed to do as a kshatriya right now. What is your duty? So if you look at this situation from the standpoint of your duty, then as a kshatriya, you have to fight if it is necessary to establish law and order in your kingdom. So what is the confusion? So two things he has said. From Adhyatmic standpoint, they are all immortal. So there is no question of losing them. From Dharmik Drishti, it is your duty, it is your dharma as a kshatriya to establish law and order. So why are you running away from your dharma? Thirdly, he gave him third drishti also. And that third standpoint, viewpoint or drishti is laukika drishti. Laukika. Laukika artha is vyavahar. What all of us would think like. लोग क्या कहेंगे, ये जो है that is लौकिक दृष्टि. So he's saying कि if you look at the situation from the worldly angle, लौकिक दृष्टि, then what is the situation? You should not withdraw from the war. Otherwise, you will be called coward by everyone. So he's trying to convince him. He's trying to tell him why it makes sense to go and fight. This is what Lord Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna. Okay. Now in Sankhya Yoga, there are some popular verses. Like I told you in the first chapter, very well known verse, Siddhanti Mama Gatrani, which is popular. In Sankhya Yoga, again very popular, Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, Nainam Dahati Pavakaha, Na Chainam Kledayantyaapo, Na Shoshayati Marutaha. Means you are of that nature, your true nature is that which cannot be destructed with weapons. Nainam Chindanti Shastrani. Nainam Dahati Pavakaha. No fire can burn you. So this is what is your nature. So this is one of the famous verses from this chapter. I like personally one verse which I will come to towards the end because I would like to talk a little more about it. And that verse I'll tell you. That verse is Nasato vidyate bhavo na abhavo vidyate satah ubhayorapi drushtonta swanayostatva darshibhihi. Tattva darshibhihi. So a person who is tattva darshi, who can see the tattva, the fundamental, that person understands what exists will always exist. And what doesn't exist will never exist. Okay? If you just understand, if you hear it, you will think that, okay, this is very obvious. But instead of taking the literal meaning of it, vakyartha, if you go into the lakshanartha of it, you will understand a deeper meaning. But we will come to this word a little later. So, Sankhya Yoga is the crux. In Sankhya Yoga, towards the end, Lord Krishna tells Arjun, he's saying that you have to go and fight. In simple words, basically, you should be using your higher intellect. He's towards the end talking about buddhi. There is a word which is used, and that word is buddhi yoga. That word is used, buddhi yoga. Use your higher intellect. And in the second chapter itself, the characteristics, the lakshanas of sthita prajna are also described. Sthita, steady. Prajna, higher intellect. We'll find verses that describe who is a sthita prajna. Tasya prajna pratisthita. You will find verses like that. Okay, a person whose buddhi, whose intellect is steady in spite of the situations, people, events that are happening around them or him or her, that person is a sthita prajna. So why is Lord Krishna describing sthita prajna? Because he wants to emphasize the use of higher intellect. Okay, so this is where the second chapter brings us. Then comes the third one. Third is Karma Yoga. Most of us know Bhagavad Gita for Karma Yoga. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Again, very famous. Everyone knows. So if you are asked, what is Bhagavad Gita telling us? We know Karmanyevadhika. Karma karo, phal ki chinta mat karo. This is what we know. Right? Correct. But it is not, it is only partly correct. So what kind of karma yoga is being narrated in Bhagavad Gita? See, now what is happening? When we start reading Bhagavad Gita ना, मुझे हमेशा ऐसे लगता है कि हमको खुद को अर्जुन की सिचुएशन में रख के देखना चाहिए. If you are in his situation and someone is telling you all this gyan, what will you say? Same thing Arjun says. Same thing. Now in Sankhya Yoga, Lord Krishna tells him कि आत्मज्ञान प्राप्त करो. That is the highest goal one needs to have in life. Atmajnan, self-knowledge. Okay? Then Arjun says, okay, fine. Let me renunciate everything. I will not do this. I will go behind Atmajnan. So sannyasi le leta hu na. Why should I be in the battlefield and fight? So this is like running away, right? So I will do that. Now, because in the second chapter, he praised self-knowledge. And in the second chapter only, there are mentions of karma kanda, where he mentions कि कर्म कांड करने से कुछ नहीं होगा. You should follow or persuade self-knowledge, atmajnan. And that is why Arjuna now asks, now this is contradictory. You are confusing me. Tell me one. Should I act or should I go behind self-knowledge and gain moksha? What should I do? You are telling me two things which are contradictory. You can't be doing both the things because they look contradictory. Now Bhagavan answered that, see, there are two lifestyles or two types of attitudes, beliefs, or nishthas. One is karma yoga nishtha, which in simple words we can say social life, which most of us rather here who are here lead. So we have family, we have friends, we have certain social life, we work, we have to transact in this world, isn't it? So that is social life, karma yoga nishtha. Then there is jnana yoga nishtha. This jnana yoga nishtha is a kind of secluded life. I'm not yet using the word sannyasa. Huh? It is secluded life. One can choose any of it, any one of them. So you can choose to be a householder or say a monk, sannyasi. You can choose anything. But when you're talking about freedom from samsara, it is not necessary that you have to be a monk only or a sannyasi only. Freedom from samsara is possible even for a person who has karma yoga nishtha, having social life also. In Bhagavad Gita only, in one of the verses, Lord Krishna gives an example of Janaka Raja, Janakadayaha. How King Janak, being a king, a ruler, did all of his duties as a king, and still he was a yogi. Janaka was a yogi. So he gives an example of King Janaka. So the point is, there is no choice here between karma and knowledge. Lifestyle you can choose. Okay, lifestyle you can choose to be a karma yoga nishtha, karma yogi, or a jnana yogi. Your nishtha could be anywhere. But whatever lifestyle you choose, one has to follow relevant karma. Relevant karma. What one needs to do, one needs to do. You can't run away from it. And why is it needed? So Lord Krishna says that even if you want to progress towards the path of knowledge, self-knowledge, jnana yoga, karma yoga is needed for chitta shuddhi. It prepares you for higher knowledge. So what is karma yoga? Karma karo, fal ki chinta mat karo is part of karma yoga. But कर्म योग says कर्म करो पर कर्म करते वक्त कर्ता के भाव से मत करो. I am doing an action, but I don't have an attitude of a doer. So the I in me has dropped. I am doing. No, that is kartrutva bhava. When one has the kartrutva bhava, that is an attitude of a doer, what comes along with kartrutva bhava invariably is bhoktrutva bhava. So if I have done something, then I have to experience the result of it, good or bad. But if I have done something kartrutva bhava, then I will not have attachment to the results also. When I have no attachment, I will have no suffering. Remember what caused suffering and sorrow and vishad for Arjuna? Attachment and delusion. Right? So if there is no kartrutva bhava while doing your actions, whatever comes as a result, you take it with prasada buddhi. Prasad is what you get when you go to the temple. The purohit will give you prasad. So you purchase some fruits. You pay for the fruits. You pay for nariyal and you get it, carry it to the temple. You offer it to the Lord. What do you get back? Do you get back nariyal? No, you get prasad. Isn't it? You get prasad. Though it is in the form of nariyal, but you don't say कि मुझे नारियल मिला वहां से. We say prasad मिला. But what have you offered? You have offered nariyal. Okay. Now, whatever you get as prasad, you will never ever complain about it. Will you? No. You eat it as you accept it. It's clear in your head. It is prasad. I had offered it. It is just the result of my actions, but I had no doership there. So you can accept it as prasada buddhi. So that is what is meant by karma yoga. Having no attitude of karta while doing your karma. So it's not only karma kar और फल की अपेक्षा मत कर, ऐसा नहीं है. कर्म करते वक्त कर्ता भाव से मत करो, फिर जो फल मिलेगा उसके ऊपर अटैचमेंट ही नहीं रहेगी. क्योंकि अगर if I was not the doer, then I am not the experiencer also of the result. So that is karma yoga, which is the subject matter of chapter 3. Then we come to chapter 4, which is jnana karma sannyasa yoga. So we saw Sankhya yoga, which is basically yoga of pursuing knowledge, jnana. Sankhya yoga is about yoga of pursuing self-knowledge, atma jnana. Then we saw karma yoga. Now this is jnana karma sannyasa yoga. So let's understand that these two yogas, karma yoga and sankhya yoga, these two yogas are not newly introduced by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, they already existed. It is not that this is something which is newly introduced. Sankhya yoga, that is jnana, atma jnana, karma yoga already existed. It has been, rather I'll put it differently. Now the 4th chapter begins by referring to this jnana itself, where Sri Krishna is kind of giving the journey of this knowledge. What kind of knowledge is he talking about? So he says this knowledge was first given to Vaivasvata, then to Lord Sun, then Manu, then Ikshvaku. He gives a journey of this knowledge, this self-knowledge. Now Arjun says, okay, so you are saying that this knowledge was given to him and him and him, whatever is the whole journey you are telling. But I am again confused here. You are saying that you gave this knowledge to Vivasvana. But you are here right now in front of me. So how can you be contemporary of him? I don't get this. How is it possible that you gave this knowledge to him? That's not possible. And now what happens is uh, Krishna introduces the topic, a new topic of avatar. So he says, we are born, we all are born our own karma. Okay. Now, when we are talking about karma, action, we are talking about two levels of karma. And both the levels of karma affect us. There are two words, vyashti and samashti. Vyashti is individual, samashti, samasta, cosmic. Vyashti and samashti. Okay. Now, the vyashti karma, that is the karma of an individual, it all obviously affects that individual in this birth or even in the past birth. But the total karma of the samashti also affects. It is not the vyashti karma, but also the samashti karma. And then Sri Krishna is telling a very interesting thing here. He's saying, see, in this case, the God, the Lord, his own karma is not there. He's a God. He's a Lord. Okay. If we are talking about God, let's understand this. When we talk about God, no? When we say Indra, when we say Vishnu, whatever, Varuna, we have to understand these as designations. Vishnu is a designation. Indra is a designation. Varuna is a designation. It is not one person who is Indra, always Indra. One person only. Prajapati Brahma, always one person was Prajapati Brahma. No, it's not like that. Any one of us can become Prajapati Brahma, the creator, after the pralaya of this Srishti, when the next creation is going to begin. Any one of us has the potential to be that. Okay, so we have to first have this understanding clear. Okay, so now when we are talking about Lord, when does one attain that designation or lordship or godship, devatva? When there is no individual karma. You have exhausted all of that. So you've gone through all the pain, pleasure, bhog, whatever you had to because of your past karma. So you are a Lord, you are God now. So his own karma is not there. But the karma of the samashti world becomes the cause for the birth of Lord, which we say avatar. Karma of samashti. So all the bad karmas, Krishna karmas, bad karmas are called Krishna karmas or evil actions of all the so-called bad people, using simple words, bad people. And all the noble actions of the saints, good people, they cause the manifestation, the avatar of the Lord to punish the bad and to bless the good. And now, in this chapter, the famous, again, verse uh, comes, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, correct. So in this chapter, this famous verse, one second, I'm losing battery. Deepika, bata. The famous verse, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanirбhavati Bharata Abhyutthanam Adharmasya. So where he say, and that is the reasoning which I was explaining, isn't it? Why is the Lord being born as avatar? What is the reason? The samashti karma, to punish the bad and to bless the good. So his own karmas were not the cause of his birth, but the samashti karma was the cause. Getting this? So here in this chapter, this is a very important uh, discussion, important insight which Arjuna gets. And then Sri Krishna also says that the Lord, you may say that the God is the Karan of this universe, the Jagat that you see, the world. We say ki Paramatma is the Karan. He created, he is the creator. And then there is again a very beautiful verse where he says, Chaturvaranyam maya srushtyam gunakarma vibhagashah tasya kartaram api mam viddhi akartaram avyayam. So what is Sri Krishna telling Arjuna? He's saying that though I, that is I as in you take it as Lord. Okay. Though I seem to be active or the creator of this universe, of this Chaturvarnya system, this Srushti, I seem to be the creator of this. You understand me as a karta, a bhokta, because I had no doership when I did this. And when someone understands me as that kind of Lord, then that person who understands me as a karta, a bhokta, also becomes free. What is freedom? I told you. Freedom that you understand through karma yoga is when you do your action without any kartrutva bhava. You are a karta. So you become a bhokta also. So Krishna says, when someone understands my nature as a karta, a bhokta, though it seems that I created this, then that person will also become free, because that person will have a good understanding of the of the nature of the universe. So that is jnana karma sannyasa yoga. So this karma sannyasa means this. Sannyasa means renunciation. What do you renunciate? Karta bhav. You give up the karta bhav of karma. You don't give up the karmas. You don't give up actions. What do you give up? You give up the doership. So in simple terms, you drop your ego. When I say I did, what is that I? Ahambhav, ego. So that is karma sannyasa yoga. Then the fifth chapter. chapter, Sannyasa Yoga. In Sannyasa Yoga, Lord Krishna takes this teaching ahead. So he's saying, we have been discussing karma, we have been discussing jnana. He says that either of the lifestyle of karma or jnana can help a person get moksha. So it doesn't matter whether you are following social life, karma yoga, or secluded life, jnana yoga. But what matters is whether you are creating raga and dvesha, or you are freeing yourself from raga and dvesha. In both the lifestyle, it is possible. Raga is attachment, dvesha is aversion. So what if a person has given up everything, has given up family, has given up money, everything, and has taken sannyas? Okay. But now he has a sense of superiority about this action of becoming a sannyasi, showing the guts to give up everything. And what has happened? There is one, the doership. And because there is a doership, what has happened? Raga, attachment towards sannyasa, and aversion towards the samsara, the laukik jivan. So it doesn't matter whether you are leading a social life or a secluded life, karma yoga or jnana yoga. What is important is no creation of raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion. And why am I telling you this? Because I already told you in the beginning, what was the reason of the suffering? The reason of suffering is this: attachment. And two, delusion, ignorance, veil, avidya, they say. Lack of correct knowledge. So this is the fifth chapter. So this is the crux of the fifth chapter. So whatever lifestyle you choose, what is important? What's the baseline? No raga, no dvesha. Okay. Then comes the sixth chapter, Dhyana Yoga. Most of us who are here do yoga practice. That is asana practice, I would say. Because if we have to say yoga practice, so it's a popular word. So even I say yoga classes. But we are now understanding what is yoga. Karma yoga, jnana yoga, karma jnana, sannyasa yoga, all of this. So we practice asanas. So we know what dhyana is, what meditation is. Now, Lord Krishna introduces this topic of meditation in fifth chapter itself towards the end. And in sixth chapter, he elaborates it. So he gives meditation as one of the ways of chitta naishchalya. Nishchalata means, chala means what moves. Nishchala or achala means that which doesn't move. And your chitta has to be stable. That is nishchala. So karma yoga is told for chitta shuddhi. Dhyana yoga for chitta naishchalya. So you practice meditation. So there are various types of sadhanas that are described here. So bahiranga sadhana is described. Means uh, the the discipline that one should follow throughout daily life, which will influence the practice of dhyana or meditation. That is bahiranga sadhana. Antaranga sadhana for inner shuddhi, then what is the phalam, dhyana phalam? What will you get after meditation? All of this is described in. And there are also obstacles in the path of meditation or dhyana yoga that are described in this chapter. Okay. So this is sixth chapter. Then seventh comes Jnana Vijnana Yoga. In the first six chapters, Gita mainly talks about the individual, like individual, the suffering and the action and the jnana is pertaining to individual. Now from 7th onwards up to 13th chapter, 12th chapter, sorry, Gita talks about the nature of God, Ishvara. Okay. So Jnana Vijnana Yoga. In this chapter, Gita tells, when I say Gita tells, it means Lord Krishna. Okay. So what is the message of this chapter? Saguna and Nirguna. Saguna. Guna means attribute. Saguna means with attribute. And Nirguna means without attribute. So the knowledge of God with attribute, if one gets the knowledge of God with attributes, that is name of the God, God's father, mother, okay, this deity is of, it is Parjanya Devata, it is Vayu Devata, all of this. What is the form? How do you praise this Lord? What are the mantras? What is a stotra? All of this is what? Saguna attribute. And Saguna Upasana. So that is what? Jnana. That is Jnana. And the knowledge of God. So here when you are doing Saguna, when you are understanding Saguna Ishvara or God with attributes, then what is happening? You are considering God as different from yourself. When you give a form, a name to something, that becomes different from you, right? When you give name and form to something, that will be different from you. So this Saguna understanding of God is Jnana, which is the understanding of God as something which is different from you, someone which is different from you. And then the next is the Nirguna, that is without attribute, the knowledge of God, which has no attributes and as identical with yourself, with oneself, is Vijnana. When you know that you are the source, not as ahankar. Because when I know I am the source, I'm not saying only I am the source. I'm also knowing that you also are the source. In fact, you, me, everything is one only. And we all are the source means it's the same thing. It is one. That is Vijnana. So Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Saguna, Nirguna. Saguna becomes different from you. Whenever it is a Saguna, it is two. God is different from you. When it becomes Nirguna, there is a possibility, there is a potentiality that you can start understanding the formless and you will be closer to the knowledge, self-knowledge, which ultimately will tell you that it is one and the same, one without a second. Ekam eva advitiya. That is advaita. So this is the subject matter of Jnana Vijnana Yoga. So this is a big chapter. So this tells us that God has two aspects. One aspect is the higher nature, which is known as para prakriti, and the lower nature, apara prakriti. The lower nature, apara prakriti, the material world, matter, has divisions, 8 divisions, like 5 subtle elements, sukshma bhutas, then ahankara. Ahankara as in cosmic, samashti ahankara. We are not talking about individual ego here. Then samashti intellect, which is known as mahat and prakriti, but we are not getting into it. But this is Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Then Akshara Brahma Yoga, 8th chapter. Akshara Brahma Yoga. What happens in Akshara Brahma Yoga? Okay, I also forgot to tell you that in Jnana Vijnana Yoga, while describing this Ishvara, this chapter also talks about different types of devotees, bhaktas. How does the Saguna Upasana happen? What are the various types of bhaktas? Various, you can say, hierarchies they have given, he has given. Artha Bhakta, Artharthi Bhakta, Jignasu Bhakta, and Jnani Bhakta. And then this chapter tells us that this Jnani Bhakta is the Shrestha, Bhakta. Okay, then Akshara Brahma Yoga. Akshara Brahma Yoga. Here, Arjuna is curious to know about these types. So in the beginning of this chapter, he is asking him seven questions. Arjuna is asking Lord Krishna 7 questions. And these 7 questions are about Brahman, Adhyatma, Karma, Adhibhuta, Adhidaiva, and the death. That's because while describing the various types of bhaktas, Lord Krishna has used these terms. He's used the term Brahma, he has used the term Adhyatma, Karma, Adhibhuta, Adhidaiva, all of this. So in Akshara Brahma Yoga, this chapter, Lord Krishna is answering these questions. Okay. But we will not be getting into the details of it. We can just remember that this chapter has the description of various types of rituals, upasana also in Akshara Brahma Yoga. Then comes Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya Yoga. So in the 8th chapter, in Akshara Brahma, there was upasana, Saguna upasana. And in Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya Yoga, it is talking about Jivana Mukti. So the topic is the knowledge of God in both forms, Saguna and Nirguna form, Jnana and Vijnana. But it is, this chapter talks about the sacred knowledge and also secret and sacred knowledge, which can release oneself from the bondage, the binding, the bandhan of samskara. So Jivan Mukti is the topic. Then comes Vibhuti Yoga. It's talking about Vibhuti. What is a Vibhuti? Vibhuti is the manifestation uh, of the Lord, the glories. That is a Vibhuti. But again, I will not be talking in detail about it. Then Vishwarupa Darshan, we all know this Vishwarupa Darshan, where Arjun asked Lord Krishna to show him his real form. And when he appears in front of him in his real form, which is Vishwarupa Darshan Yoga. Then comes Bhakti Yoga. Again, a very, very elaborate discussion about bhakti, devotion. Some types of bhaktas, Virat Bhakta, Akshara Bhakta, are all discussed in this chapter. Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Vibhaga Yoga. I would say this chapter 13th is very interesting chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So there are 6 topics that are discussed in this chapter. And those 6 topics are Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnana, Jneya, Purusha, and Prakriti. I told you that first 6 chapters are talking about the individual. Then 7th to 12th talk about God or Ishvara as the cause of everything. And now chapter 13 to 18 talk about the relation of the individual and the Ishvara as the cause. Okay, so if you know the Mahavakya from Upanishad, if you have heard it, Tat Tvam Asi. This Mahavakya tells us that you, Tvam, Asi means are, you are that, Tat. Tat means the cause, the Karan. You are the source, is the Mahavakya. Now, if you map the entire Bhagavad Gita to this Mahavakya, you will understand that the Tvam Pada, the meaning of the word Tvam, is being described in from chapter 1st to 6th. Then meaning of the word Tat is being described from chapter 7 to 12. And then meaning of the word Asi, are. The relation between Tat and Tvam is described in from chapter 13th to 18th. Okay, so in this chapter, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnana, Jneyam, Purusha, and Prakriti, all these 6 topics are discussed. Actually, in reality, though these 6 topics are separately discussed in this, we need to note that Kshetrajna, Jneyam, and Purusha are actually the same. Some of us may not understand what I'm saying, but it's okay. Listen to the word. Anyway, so the entire objective universe is Kshetra. From the Mula Prakriti, which is Anadi, the source, Mula Prakriti, which is Anadi, unmanifest. Everything that we experience and that becomes the object of our experience is a Kshetra. The Kshetrajna is the conscious principle which illumines the Kshetra. That is a kshetrajna. Okay. So even if we just remember kshetra and kshetrajna, it will be enough for now. So this is the subject matter of chapter 13. Now from chapter 14, 15, 16, 17, what is happening is Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. Lord Krishna discusses at length the three gunas. Three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, are intrinsic to Mula Prakriti. Prakriti has three gunas, sattva guna, rajo guna, tamo guna. And then he is describing so many things and he's like classifying so many things as sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, right from ahara, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Your shraddha could be sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Your intelligence, buddhi, could be sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Your happiness could be sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Your will, dhruti, could be sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. So this is um, the topic of discussion from chapter 14th to 17th. 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. And then 18th chapter we come, which is Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. This is the revision, because Arjuna now asks the final question. He says, I now want to know the true nature of sannyasa and tyaga distinctly, is his question. And then he sums up, Lord Krishna is summing up the entire knowledge. Now I will go back to the Sankhya verse that I said I like. Sankhya Yoga, second chapter, verse 16. And I already told you that second chapter is the Sar of Gita. That doesn't mean we only study second chapter. Okay, it will be like Arjuna. Arjuna said the same thing, na? Okay, then I will go take sannyasa. Why should I fight? Not like that. Okay. So, second chapter is the Sara. So, 16th verse. So, in this verse, Krishna is trying to tell us that no effect exists away from the cause. No effect can have its existence independent of the cause. Okay? If there is something, say for example, very funny example it may sound, but if I apply a lot of makeup on my face and I become very, very fair, then that fairness, fair and lovely I put, then that fairness is going to be borrowed. It is borrowed fairness. Okay, it is not original fairness. Okay. Now, what is the cause of my fairness, you will say? If I put fair and lovely, we'll say fair and lovely is the cause of my fairness. Okay. Now, the fairness in fair and lovely, is it intrinsic to fair and lovely? Cream? No. No. It is because of some constituents, correct, that have given fairness to the cream, fair and lovely. Isn't it? Now, is the fairness in those constituents intrinsic to them or it is extrinsic to them? It is also not intrinsic to them. So ultimately, if you go down, 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 if you drill down, you will come at some point where you will say that, okay, now this is intrinsic, antarbhut. It is not external, it is internal. That is what it is. It is its essence. You can't separate it. Can't separate it. Okay. Now, when I say I am Sucheta, in this statement, what is intrinsic to me and what is extrinsic to me? Is Sucheta intrinsic or extrinsic to me? Extrinsic. It has been given to me. I have not borrowed it, but it has been given to me. I was not born with the name Sucheta. Was I? No. It is given to me. What about the body? Is it extrinsic or intrinsic? Given to me. Mind given to me. Buddhi given, acquired. Isn't it? I have acquired it. Can it go away from me? Yes, it can, very much. Why not? So, whatever you can experience, whatever becomes the object of your experience or knowledge, whatever can go through modifications. It can shrink, it can enlarge, it can wither, it can lengthen, it can swell, whatever. Whatever can go through modifications, then whatever comes and goes, it all is extrinsic. दृश्यत्व, भौतिकत्व, सगुणत्व, सविकारत्व, आगम अपायत्व. 5 things. Drishyatva. What has the potential to become the object of my experience is a drishya for me. What I can hear, what I can smell, what I can taste, what I can touch. Not only that, what I can think is the object. My thought is an object. My emotion is an object. Whatever I can be aware of is an object. Okay. Then that is drushyatva. Bhautikatva. Bhautikatva is something which is material. Now, our mind is also matter. Okay. Mind is a product of Prakriti. It is matter. Does my mind have vikaras? What is a vikara? Modification. Does my mind change? Yes, all the time. All the time. So vikaratva, savikar, it is full of vikaras. Vikara means change. It changes. So it is savikaratva. So it is bhautika. Drishyatva, bhautikatva, savikaratva, sagunatva, having attributes, different features. attributes in terms of shape and form and taste and color and whatnot. Good, bad, focused, not focused, whatever. All you, if you can put adjectives to that thing, that means it has attributes. है ना? I'm focused, I'm not focused, I'm confused. All these are attributes. I'm Brahmajnani, attribute. Even if someone says, I am Brahmajnani, no, then that is extrinsic, not intrinsic. That becomes an attribute. Okay, so sagunatva, savikaratva, agama, apayitva. Agama means coming, apayitva, going. So what comes and goes is all extrinsic. So in the statement, I am Sucheta. Sucheta is extrinsic. I, extrinsic or intrinsic? Extrinsic. Who I? Again, I as in at this, in this moment, whatever I refer to I, is this going to be the same the next moment? No. The next moment, this I is going to change. Past moment, this I was different. So extrinsic. So what is intrinsic? Am. Am as in isness. I am. You are. We are. I, me, you, we. We can have any prefix. But what doesn't change is the isness. We all are. That is true. So that isness connects all of us together. What is common, fundamental, unchanging is this isness. And understanding this is the subject matter of Sankhya Yoga. And in the second chapter, this verse is trying to explain this to Arjuna. That if you know and always take yourself back to that one changeless principle, then you can basically exist in chaos. Because even if there is chaos around you, you are rooted there. And you know that you are that principle. It is not that you are close to that principle. I am a part of that principle. No, I am that principle. I am that cause. So that abhava and nasato vidyate bhavo, nabhavo vidyate sataha. So what is asat? Asat means what is not. What is asat can never be. And what is will always be. What is will always be. There is no question of that isness not being there ever. Isness was always there. Isness will always be there. And is not was never there and will not be there. Because it is not, so it was not and it will not be. But if it is, then it was and it will be. So when we are talking about understanding the cause, it is this isness, and that is called Brahma. And even in the 11th chapter, when Sri Krishna is using these words Brahma, as because he's now started describing the Nirguna, formless. And so this knowledge, gaining this knowledge requires certain amount of preparedness of your buddhi, of your chitta, and that because it has to be completely clean and clear to understand this, to gain this knowledge. Okay, but Lord Krishna gives this in the second chapter itself and then explains the entire uh, knowledge from third to 18th chapter. Okay, so this is how yoga is presented in Bhagavad Gita, right? And I think I will stop here. I will chant the prayer and then we'll chat for 5 minutes. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.